and I'm afraid.
I wish that I was smart.
I wish that I was rich.
I wish it wasn't hard for me to grow up and forgive.
I wish that I could help. I wish I wasn't sick.
I wish I was Tom McDonald. I'd be just like him.
I wish I wasn't sober. I miss it when the party wasn't over. Happiness was right around the corner. Every single night was like the best one of our lives. Now we're older. The good old days are out of reach. I wish that they were closer. I wish I wasn't anxious, and I wish I could fast forward. And I wish that I could rewind, but they don't make that controller. I wish the nights were longer, and I wish the days were shorter. And I wish that I could sleep enough to maintain my composure. I feel crazy. I wish that I was normal. I wish that I could kill myself, but also be immortal. Take me to the oracle. I heard that time is borrowed. Can you give me back my yesterdays? I'll give you my tomorrows. Forget all of my morals and just live like I cannot remember sorrow. Before all of the tattoos and the cornrows, I was different, I was happy, I was calmer, I was young and full of hormones. Now I'm wishing for a time machine, I'd step into that portal and be gone.
I wish on shooting stars, or were they satellites? Maybe they were too far. Hey, ooh la la, I must have blown apart a million dandelions. Now they don't grow in my yard. Hey, ooh la la.
I wish I didn't care about the day that I'd be buried. Used to live like I was ready for it, always in a hurry. Now I'm worried, all my memories are blurry. I'm just barely turning 30 and the voices in my head are trying to hurt me. The choices that I made make me feel dirty. I was 25 or 13, I was smoking with the seniors, drinking beer and getting flirty. Now the Ativan ain't working, I need something even stronger. Give me childhood, my mother and my father and my sister, and a Christmas to make up for all the recent ones I'm missing while I'm touring the country for a living. Give me a hug and a Nintendo and a toy box in the closet. Give me everything I wish I had. Oh wait, I think I got it. I'm a rapper like I always promised them I would accomplish. This is awesome, man. I wish I had a friend to tell. I'd call him, man. I wonder if I jump from here, if I'd survive the bottom, and would everyone believe me if I told them I had fallen? I'ma jump.
I wish on shooting stars, or were they satellites? Maybe they were too far.
Hey, how we doing this evening? Welcome to the Mike Files. You're in studio, 52 miles east of Yellowstone Park. Just outside Yellowstone Park. It's cold as hell out here. Wind's blowing, snowing. Ugh, nasty weather. Anyways, hope everybody's doing well. We're going to get on to a few topics here. Kind of slow going here to start with, but we'll get after it here. One of the things I wanted to talk about. Oh, there we go. Got the audio popping. Gotta love that. Anyhow, hopefully that's a little better. One of the issues I've been thinking about today, as those of you that know me, you've seen on my social media pages and stuff that when it asks political affiliation that I, excuse me, refer to myself as an anarchist. And I kind of want to approach the ideology of what anarchy really is and lay to rest, or attempt to lay to rest, some of the misconceptions. It's a very, it's a dysphomistic term. When we think anarchy, we think these different groups that are lighting things on fire, torching cities and rioting and looting and shit like that. And that really doesn't have much to do with what anarchy is. But the first thing that I wanted to focus on a little bit was just discussing the way that we're represented, and the fact that everybody refers to, excuse me, Jesus Christ, I sound like Joe Biden over here hacking up a fucking lung. Everybody refers to what we have going here in this country as a democracy, okay? It's not. It's a representative republic, supposedly. However, we got to look and say, okay, how are we being represented here? And I think we need to kind of look at this fundamentally and kind of break it down a little bit. Now, on one of the last episodes, I had brought up the idea, just as a hypothetical, because I like to do the hypothetical thing from time to time. I brought up the idea that, okay, say I want to run for Senate or Congress or whatever, I'd have a better chance of Senate in Wyoming since we have 2 senators and only 1 representative, and the 1 representative is Liz Cheney. And I don't think Wyoming's probably, I don't know what's going to happen with her. She's opposed Trump on a lot of things, and that doesn't bode well with Wyomingites, so who knows where that goes. I couldn't care less. And just by looking at that, just saying, okay, our representative is Liz Cheney. That's okay. That's Halliburton money right there. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I mean, everybody knows Dick Cheney, the guy that shot somebody out on a hunting trip, and then that guy that he shot had to apologize to him. What I'm getting at is that these people that are in these positions of power, they're nominated through power, right? For there to be any change in government should be something that comes from the bottom up. What we get is a top-down effect, right? So let's say I went back today, and the only place I could find really solid numbers was back in like 2014, and there was something like 57 odd thousand families that contributed the maximum campaign donations that year of $5,200. If you do the math on that in the United States with our population, you figure 58,000. Okay, so you're talking about like 0.02% of the population are funding and backing these nominees. So those of us that are in the waning middle class, the few of us that are in the upper class, and it's probably becoming a majority of people that are in the, at poverty line, don't have a say. And that's why I have a problem with, people saying, oh, I'm voting for this candidate or that candidate because it's the lesser of two evils. And my point of view is kind of that evil is evil. And so why even vote? Especially when you don't have a say in it. The idea of a representative republic means that we are represented adequately and correctly in these institutions that call the shots and make our laws and make these decisions. And the fact of the matter is that we don't have a choice in much of anything. I mean, they're trying to enact these mandates as far as vaccinations are concerned. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not. What I am anti is I'm anti-tyranny. I don't believe that the government or OSHA has the right to tell you what it is that you're going to put into your body. I don't think that these vaccines have been, they came out so quickly, and it's a different vaccine than any vaccine in history. All of us have been vaccinated for measles, mumps, rubella, polio, all that shit. And it was a one-time deal. And now we're looking at some of these, we're looking at talking about a fourth booster with some of these things right now. And I think you also have to look at the flow of money and where it's going when you're talking about these things. Between Moderna, Pfizer, and BioNTech, they're making $65,000 per minute on these vaccines. And you got to ask yourself, how come there are 98% of people in what we would call third world countries they're unvaccinated? Why are they not getting the vaccine rolled out to them? Because they don't have the money. It's a fine line on what I can and cannot say. I'm gonna try and just keep it, I guess in the gray area here, because I have had a few things taken down for speaking my mind about things, and the things I've spoken have been backed up by, the World Health Organization, NIH, quoting their statistics, I've still had things taken down. So, the community guidelines with YouTube, and that is that you don't say anything that, basically they're saying you can't say anything that dissents with these organizations. Now, in my mind, from what I've seen since the start of this whole thing, is that the falsehoods that have been spread, the false narrative that's been spread, the BS is, I mean, it's gone from Fauci on down. I mean, you've got he's the highest paid employee of the government. He's done nothing but lie. I mean, he straight up lied. Rand Paul called him out. He told Rand Paul he didn't know what he was talking about. Rand Paul is a doctor. He was a doctor of 35 years before he decided to run for office. So it's a little disconcerting when the guy sits up there and tells Rand Paul that he's lying, and then it comes out that Fauci's the one that lied. That in fact, you know, if you watch the hearing in front of Congress, that, you know, the NIH was funding gain of function, and it was happening where it happened. That's very disconcerting. You know, it's wear a mask, don't wear a mask. If you're vaccinated, now you got to wear, I mean, you're supposed to wear a mask anyways. We're talking all these boosters. I don't know that anybody necessarily understands what the long-term effects of this is going to be. And I was speaking with somebody earlier today, and we were talking about an acne medication that came out back in the day. And a lot of young people are using it as tetracycline, and it turned out to have, like, you know, birth defects in the long term. And I don't think the research and the homework has been done on this. That's just what I'm looking at from the outside looking in. I don't know. Had I not had, you know, I had the first round of COVID and then the Delta variant as well. The Delta, which I got over in one day. And I've chosen not to get the vaccine just because I've had it twice, and from the studies that I've read and everything I've seen, it's you know, you're 27% more, you know, you have 27% higher immunity from the natural immunity that you get from having overcome it. It's just like, you know, having strep throat, and rather than taking the antibiotics, you fight through it. And like I've said, I did that with my son the last time he had it, because it was like a yearly thing. And he hasn't had it since. So, I don't know, I think there's something to be said for your body fighting things off. I mean, that's kind of how we're designed, our immune system. So, I mean, I've been taking, you know, vitamin D, you know, B12 every day, zinc, vitamin C, you know. I mean, that's not going to save you from everything, of course not, but, you know, I'm sitting there hacking and coughing. But I've been out in the shop sawing wood and stuff today, you know. But anyhow, I just think that where we're at right now is we've got power and wealth concentrated in the hands of a very few. And that's going to lead to corruption. It's always going to lead to corruption. And the people that we have in office that we've voted for, we didn't nominate these people. I'd like to know how many of you out there had a choice in who was nominated. And would you have nominated these people? Because every time I talk to anybody about elections, about how they're voting, and the decisions they're making as far as party affiliations and this and that, and I want everybody to know that I'm coming from I'm not party affiliated whatsoever. As you all know, I can't even vote anyhow, which is neither here nor there. I wouldn't vote if I could anyways, because I'm not going to vote for the lesser of two evils. I mean, I'm of the mindset that evil is evil, and I'm not going to play. I mean, my standpoint is walk away from it. And I think that we affect change from a bottom-up standpoint rather than the top-down, because obviously this is not working. And, you know, even like Madison said, you know, when they, you know, when the powers that be at the time decided upon this representative republic, I don't think that this is what they had in mind. don't think so at all. And I think you've got, you know, a lot of racial disparity in this country. You certainly do within the judicial system and society in general. Things are touchy right now. We're in a, you know, I mean, we're in a time of some pretty big crisis. I mean, we're going through things that we haven't gone through as far as, you know, talking supply chain. I mean, the mental, you know, psychological effects that the lockdowns and all this fear has had on everybody in this country. I mean, and then you throw in, you know, issues that have happened with, you know, with police and rioting, looting, just general discontent, and it really shows, I think, that there's a growing gap between those that have power and those of us that you know, are kind of on the other end of the food chain right now. And it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. And it doesn't matter which news station that you watch. I mean, it's all just junk. I mean, we've got an administration that has taken us from being energy independent to now we're begging OPEC for oil. We've all seen we've all felt the effects at the pump. Everybody has. I know I certainly have. Like I said, I can't even fill my diesel up. I have to go to 2 different gas stations to do that because, you know, I go with Exxon, and the stations here, you can only go up to $90 with one transaction, and then you got to go to another one. So, I mean, $90 doesn't get me, you know, much anywhere. I mean, I was able to fill my tank last year at this time for like $75, and now I'm, you know, $135, $140. I mean, that's a pretty big difference. It's kind of rough. Everything's gone up. Food. I mean, we've all seen it. We're all seeing the effects of this inflation, and what the government wants to do is just, you know, print more money. They don't even print it. And I've gone over this time and time again. It's an upstroke of a key. It's not money being printed. I can hear the neighborhood barking dog outside. Got to have that, huh? Anyway, you know, this idea that, you know, what are they talking about, $2.5 trillion or something here? I mean, we're already pushing $30 trillion in debt. And that's a debt that's never going to be paid off. And the way that this country rolls and the way that money works is that we have to have debt, because if we don't have debt, then we don't have an economy. We don't have money. And money is different than currency as well. I should be calling it currency and not money. Because, you know, in reality, money would be, you know, more along the lines of gold or silver. But anyway, what I'm saying is that this thing has got to turn itself around, because it's going to be in a really bad place here if we don't start making changes from the bottom up, and that involves you, that involves me, that involves us at local levels, that involves us affecting change from the bottom up, and there's going to have to be a point in time where people are going to have to resist this tyranny, because that's what's happening when you're being told this is what you have to do, this is what you have to put in your body, when you're being told that your 5-year-old needs to be injected with, you know, something that has not been researched. I was listening to a doctor on Jimmy Dore's show yesterday that he played a clip from this guy, and he was saying that it was basically, this guy's philosophy was on the same lines of what Pelosi said when the whole debate was up about Obamacare. And she said, well, we have to pass it to see what's in it. It's like, no, dingbat. You need to read the goddamn bill. Then you know what's in it. You don't pass something and then do your homework after the fact. When you're making decisions that are affecting 330 to 350 million people, and you're requiring people that are flying into the country to have a test, you're requiring people to quarantine themselves, yet you have an open southern border where people are just flooding in. You've got a humanitarian crisis happening there, and the president hasn't even been down there. Kamala doesn't even know where she's at. I mean, everybody saw that stupid, spot she did where she had the hired child actors talking about NASA and all this. Well, hey, wake up. The people that are on the cutting edge of space travel, you're talking about the Elon Musk, Bezos, SpaceX, and, these are the ones that are out there doing something. NASA they don't even have the footage from the moon landing. I don't know how that got lost. That was like probably one of the most historic moments in human history. And they don't even have, the stuff's lost. It's gone. The footage is gone. It's like, what? How? And then she's got these child actors, and you've got people flooding across the border. We've all seen the footage of, what's going on under the bridge down there. And Biden hasn't been there. Psaki, she gets up there, and I do feel, I don't necessarily like her very much. She can be really condescending and kind of smarmy and snarky, but that's a tough job. I can't imagine having to get up there day after day after day after day and try and defend these people that are just. Biden obviously he don't get along with Kamala Harris, and who cares? They really don't. It doesn't matter. They're just puppets. That's all they are. They're figureheads. The elite just stick their hand up their asses and they run like sock puppets. But what they also do is they manage to divide all of us, and that's the detriment. That's the bad thing, we've been put in some this trying times, But what we have to do, and the only way I see it, is we got to try and find some place where we come together and where we stop looking at these racial divides. We stop looking at these political party divides that we have. I've never seen a more polarized. Everybody said it was polarized with Trump in office, but I think it's gotten 10 times worse at this point. You've got a president that came out and everybody's heard the interview that, with him telling Charlemagne the God, if you don't vote for me, there goes the camera, saying, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. The guy that was the architect of the 1994 crime bill that put a ton of my brothers in prison for a very long time. A ton of my brothers missed their children growing up, missed a ton of their lives over nonviolent drug offenses. It's absolutely ridiculous. But what I'm getting at is our quote-unquote democracy doesn't represent the people. I'd like to know how you guys feel about this, but I don't see any way that I feel like I'm being represented. I don't know how you feel. Do y'all think you're being represented? Do you think that what they're doing in D.C., that the laws that they're passing, that the mandates that they're making, that the things that they're telling you got to do, the fact that they're, the first day in office, what Biden shuts down the Keystone Pipeline, affecting tens of thousands of people, right? That were making, a very good living. People making those 6-figure incomes, and he doesn't have a solution, other than now they just say that OPEC is that they're price gouging, and they're saying that this inflation that the store's going on. I had to go to Walmart last night, and a 2-pound thing of burger. It's like $18. I don't know what it is in the city, but it's ridiculous. It is absolutely crazy. People aren't going to be able to afford this much longer. And they come up with these conflated numbers about unemployment. Well, they don't take into consideration all the people that have been unemployed for so long now that they're not even on the radar. And politicians have done that notoriously in the past. It's not anything new for them to conflate the employment numbers. And people also have realized too, people have quit in great numbers that aren't going to go back to a job. And I commend any of you for that. Because who the hell wants to sit there and punch that fucking clock, you know, every day of the week? You know, you're in there, you're you know, there's a psychology behind it too, because there are so many jobs that are just bullshit out there. There's so many people that spend their days working a job where they're just trying to look busy, and that they know inside that what they're doing is that they're doing nothing. I've worked around guys like that they just, I mean, guys will straight up tell you on these construction sites and shit for these bigger companies, they'll say, I'm just going to try and see what little I can get done, see where I can hide out. And you don't watch these fools. They go hide in the porta potties. Now, what a nasty place that is. These guys will go sit in there. They'll sit in there as long as they can. Till somebody's yelling for them. I mean, you'll see the cigarette smoke coming out of the side of the thing, you know, and they'll just sit in there. I mean, he's sitting in there on top of blue shit water to hide out. I mean, nobody should be put in a position where that's what you do at work. I mean, you know, it's like, here's your break at 10 o'clock. Now you got from noon to 12:30. Punch in, punch out, punch in, punch out. Here's your fucking paycheck. You know, here's your, you know, I mean, taken out of your check. I mean, you know, we're talking about like power, right? And really that's what it's about with the elite is power. And power and violence are kind of like a 50-50 thing. And I'm not talking about it like necessarily even like physical violence, but there is a threat of violence that lies behind most of what we are coerced into doing. If you don't pay your taxes, you're going to get locked in a cage. That's a threat of violence. Now, I don't know who out there would honestly voluntarily pay the federal income tax. Would you? If I came to you and said, listen, you can either do this or you don't have to. I can't think of many people that would say, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and take care of that. Because look at what they're doing with your money. Everything that we're pushing $30 trillion in debt. We've been involved in endless wars that have done nothing. I mean, really. I mean, you go back to Vietnam, Korea. I mean, and then this 20-year debacle that happened in Afghanistan, and you know, the fact that we still have people over there, and we've left the Taliban with billions and billions of dollars worth of, that's your tax money, people. Okay, we're looking like what, $95 billion worth of Black Hawk helicopters and tanks and weapons, you name it. It all just got left there. Bagram Air Force Base, left. That's your tax money. That's what your tax money went for 20 years of this horse shit. To go chase some 6'5" guy around that supposedly did what he did on 9/11, that was on a dialysis machine living in a cave. I mean, I'm sorry about that buzzing. I can't get it to stop. Try and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But anyways, I digress. It's just crazy, you know. I mean, all these societal decisions and these things that these people are deciding to do on our behalf, that they don't give a shit about us. And the politicians, they're basically their motto is go with the green. And I'm not talking about the Green Party. I'm talking about the green money. Like, where are they going to get that money? How they're going to vote according to the money, according to the lobbyists, according to how they're going to line their pockets, how they're going to stay in power. And that's a big thing, you know. And we've got all these elected officials that really, they don't care about us whatsoever. And we need to get back to a place where we're making the decisions from the bottom up. You need to have people from everywhere being represented. And that's why I've kind of thrown forth the idea, and this is, again, a hypothetical. Everything I say is hypothetical, and it won't happen because the powers that be won't let it happen. But I was saying, you know what? Let's go back and rewrite things. Let's get rid of everybody that's in Congress. Just bye. You're out. Go. Go back. Welcome to being a citizen. Most of these people can't even work. I would doubt. I mean, I'd be seriously inclined to believe that a lot of these politicians could not go out and work a regular job. A lot of them never have. Joe Biden never has. Bernie Sanders never has. God, this stupid thing keeps going off. I'm going to shut that down. I'll get rid of it next time, I guess. I don't want to mess with it right now. But, I mean, you're talking about a group of people that are basically, I would love to take some of these, one of these senators, take him out in the field and for a day's work, put him in the shop, put him on a table saw, put him on a sander, put him behind a shovel. They don't even understand what it's like to actually put in a day's work and then get robbed blind on payday every time you go to the store. I mean, they just sit back there and they just make these pass laws and talk shit, run their mouth, start wars, send our youth overseas to get, maimed and killed in these stupid ass wars, come back with PTSD, have huge problems when they get back, mental disorder, all kinds of things, And we just sit here and let it happen. And it's so fucking stupid, people. What are we doing? That's why I've been like, everything with me is like #walk away. I don't see any other answer because this isn't going to work. And it's not working. And this country's falling apart because of it. And what I see is that these news organizations and these politicians and the media and the only thing that they can do to keep the system going the way they're going is to keep us divided and to keep us at each other's throats, because that way they save their asses. All we do is get lied to. You've got countries now that are putting people they're putting them in basically internment camps, Australia and Austria. And PolitiFact came out and said that, what Ron Johnson said about the Australian camps, that it was pants on fire lying. It's not. I just got done watching off of Unheard. I'm not going to play the clip because I don't know if I have the right to do it, but Unheard, Freddie Sayers, he was interviewing a female, 26 years old, and she just got out of one of these camps for the second time. And through contact tracing, they realized that she was around somebody that had COVID. They show up at her home and ask her had she been tested. She said yes. They go and then they call her back and they say, we've gone through the databases and you're not on here as having a negative test. So that's how closely they're monitoring this thing. Okay? So she says, yeah, you're right. I lied to you. I was scared. You guys have hauled me off to one of these already. I don't want to go back. And they said, okay, well, somebody's coming to test you. And what happens is 2 officers show up, and they don't test her. They take her off, and she had to do another 2 weeks in one of these internment camps. And the threat that they gave her, like, she couldn't even leave the little it wasn't necessarily a cell per se, but the little room that she was in, she couldn't even go to the laundry or nothing. And all the guys were outside, and if she were to disobey what they were telling her to do, she was looking at a $5,000 fine. Now, you can't tell me that that's not, that's violence. That is a threat and a force of violence. Violence comes in many different ways, whether it be monetary, whether it be physically psychologically, mentally, and there's a lot of different ways that it presents itself. And the threat of it, I mean, it's like seatbelt laws. Why does everybody wear this? I mean, we're also trained to do that. Nobody used to wear seatbelts. When I was a kid growing up, we rode in the back of pickup trucks everywhere. I mean, do I think it's a good idea to wear a seatbelt? Sure. I've been in enough. I mean, I've been involved in some crazy car accidents that I shouldn't have walked away from, and I put it on. But I mean, it's not the government's job is not to protect me from myself, and it's not to protect you from yourself. And it's gotten so misconstrued, and the government's job also isn't to produce money. And they don't. I mean, if you do your homework and check it out, and go back to 1913, and you look at the introduction to the Federal Reserve. Everybody says Federal Reserve, and they think automatically, right? And that's a play on words, and it's a term that was designed to fool those that are uneducated and haven't figured out what it's all about, because it is not the Federal Reserve is not part of the government. It's it's its own entity, and they manipulate us big time. And everybody, this build back better bullshit. It's nonsense. I mean, it's going to be something that's going to sink us, and we're already on a sinking ship. And I think that, it scares me because the analogy that I've been making now for quite some time is that we are kind of equivalent to those who were unfortunate enough to be in, Indonesia back in 2004, when that tsunami hit, and that water in the Indian Ocean gets sucked out, and people are standing out there in the wet sand looking around like, where'd the water go? Not thinking that if it went out, it's going to have to come back in. And I think that's where we're at right now. It's going to be a big crash right on our head. And I think it's already happened. I mean, with the panic that's going on with our elected officials that are just all a bunch of bozos. And we've let it happen. We've let it. Stupid thing. Turn that shit off somehow. Somebody help me out here. I'm a technological moron. But I mean, we've allowed it to happen. It's just like people that are of my age bitching about millennials. I'm not even about that shit. The mindset of young people right now, it's our fault. And our mindset, it's on us. We have to stand up and take the blame. We have to take responsibility. And that's what, you listen to that fucking onion head, that mushmouth, talking about the buck stops with him and this and that. No, it doesn't. It hasn't yet. He blames everybody for everything else. He takes credit for shit that he didn't even do. He doesn't even know where he's at. But what I'm saying is that we need to take responsibility of where we're at and where we're going and what the hell is fucking going on here. I mean, if we don't, we're sunk. And we're a nation of, as I said, I haven't looked at an exact population count, but we're between 330, 350 million people. Okay? We got, 435 people in Congress? 535? And they're calling the shots on all of us? I mean, it's time to just say enough of these people. I mean, if what do you do with a petulant child? Many times. Ignore them. You ignore them. You got a kid that's sitting there, screeching and hollering, screaming and yelling, throwing a fit. You ignore them. They're looking for attention. These people have been, look at Pelosi, for God's sake. Now, good grief, she can't even talk. She never has been able to. And she's worth over $100 million. She's been involved in insider trading. She's a fucking mess. She comes out and says, she's talking about the lawlessness going on. You've got these people that are smashing and grabbing, just busting up stores. And she's like, maybe you know where it comes from. I mean, who's she talking to? That's where she's from, San Francisco. And these are her. Those are their policies. This no bail shit. I mean, I just sent out a letter to some politicians 2 days ago, and some attorneys and shit, saying that, hey, because I'm labeled as a violent federal felon. And that's a very difficult thing to be labeled as. It's almost worse than being labeled as a fucking child molester. Those fuckers, they go and fucking do their little fucking song and dance time, and then they're back out doing the same thing. Me, I'm stuck with this. I got no rights coming back to me. And I didn't ever do anything violent. I never threatened anybody. I never brandished a firearm on anybody. I never did anything except try and get us out of a bad situation. That's it. And I'm stuck with that. And the only way they're telling me that can go away is through a presidential pardon. And I ain't going to get that. I mean, I might be a lot of things, but I tell you what, I try to be as good a person as I can. I don't wish I don't wish to be violent. I never did. I never wanted to be put in that situation. And then you look at these people that they're burning down cities. The guy that ran down all those people in Wisconsin, that vehicle, 2 days prior to that, runs over his child's mother with a vehicle, and he's out on $1,000 bail. And he's got sex offense on his record. He's got a rap sheet a mile long. He's absconded on a bunch of shit. And here he is, allowed to do this shit. And here I am, a guy that's a single dad trying to make things work. I've been out almost 9 years. I haven't had any trouble. Change my situation and scenario around. And I can't get out from under that. Yet these assholes that are out here burning, looting, hijacking movements just to behave badly, this administration just lets them out. I mean, I don't like the incarceration numbers in this country whatsoever. I think it's bullshit. I mean, we talk about the land of the free, and we've got more incarcerated individuals in prisons than any other nation, I mean, there is an answer to all of this. And we're not getting any closer to it with the way that we're going, is what I'm saying. I mean, we got a system that is basically, it's browbeating all of us down to the point where we're scared. We're scared to do anything because of the threats. People are getting vaccinated because of threats. If you're being threatened with losing your job, that's a threat of violence. There's no reason why somebody should be fired. I mean, you had a bunch of medical professionals that were let go, and then they bring in National Guardsmen. Well, they're in there administering vaccines and doing whatever in the hospitals, and they're unvaccinated. And yet the people that went to college and school and trained and had been working in hospitals for years and years, they get run off to bring in unvaccinated National Guardsmen? Nothing against the National Guard. But, I mean, a National Guardsman is not a substitute for a medical professional. And we just sit back and let it happen. And we watch this guy, this Cuomo, the motherfucker wins what did he win, a fucking Emmy? He writes a book. How many thousands of people died because of him? Because he was too proud to accept what the government had sent. I mean, they sent naval frigates up there with personnel, beds, ventilators, the capacity to bring people out to these boats and put them in a hospital where they'd be cared for. And what's he do? He puts sick people in old folks' homes, the people that are susceptible. He had to step down as governor. Why? Because of all the sexual harassment shit that came up. And we treated him and his fucking stupid brother. He gets fired from CNN. Now he's got a suit going against them. He used his power with the media to try and help out his crooked brother. I mean, these two guys are pieces of shit. They should both be in fucking prison. And the guy gets an Emmy, writes a fucking best-selling book. They were talking about him for a presidential candidate. Can you imagine that shit? That's what I'm talking about right there, people. These are the type of people that money and power puts them in these positions. Can you imagine that? If Andrew Cuomo would have, the thing is, if they'd have put him on the Democratic ticket, He probably would have won. Probably would have. I don't know. Who knows? You know, and the fact that this Onion head, God, just watching him walk around, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable that you know. I mean, I love this country, and most of that love comes from the people that I've met along the way. And the people that I've met along the way are not behind any of this bullshit. They're not. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it starts small. It starts with each and every one of us in our daily life and what we do and the way we choose to walk and the way we choose to look at things. And we have to wake up. We have to wake up and start understanding what's going on around us. I mean, people get on me all the time. They're like, oh, you're involved in all this political shit. Well, you got to be, because this is what defines what happens in our lives. You can't just sit back and just let it happen, you know? When I was a kid, my dad bought me a poster, and it had little ducks on it. And it said that there were 3 types of people in the world. It was like, you know, those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that wonder what happened. And we're so involved in TikTok and crap chat and all this bullshit, this garbage, you know, this false little world that we're living in. I mean, and it's necessary, but we need to use these outlets, these technologies for the better, not to sit there and watch cat videos, not to sit there and do crap chat and take pictures. I mean, I can't tell you how irritated I am with seeing pictures of these, and I hate to say it, it's mostly females. Okay, I'm not being a misogynist, sexist, or anything like that, but if you want to get on social media, look at the percentage of females who have pictures out there where they're looking like a fucking chipmunk or a bunny rabbit, or they put these filters on. It's like, it's not you. Like this shit that we put out there in the social media, it's not you. Like this right here, this is me. This is me. This is me in my house. I built all, I made all this stuff, and this is all me. You're getting, you're seeing what, I'm being as transparent as I possibly can. But what you see with all this bullshit on social media that most people do is it's just it's a facade. It's this fake front of who you are. I mean, it's putting forth this, hashtag living my best life. Oh, I'm a bunny rabbit. What the fuck is that? You got people that are afraid to put out a picture of who they really are. I don't got no makeup on. Yeah, I'm ugly. God loves ugly. We've gotten so wrapped up in the dopamine rush that comes from all this bullshit that we've completely missed out on the point. And we have an incredible opportunity with these platforms and stuff to communicate in a way that we've never been able to with one another. And I think it's time that we start using it for the better. And we got to stand up. Because if we don't, if you just keep being complacent, and comfort breeds complacency. That's why they put out their stupid little shitty checks that weren't worth a damn thing. It just caused inflation, and it's just going to keep happening. It's going to keep getting worse. I don't see it getting better. If they wanted to change things, they'd get they'd get people back to work on the pipelines and not worry about OPEC. We were the largest exporter of, petroleum in the world. And I'm not saying petroleum's the answer, because obviously it's going to run out at some point. And I've said this over and over, I'm all for green energy. But let's come up with a way to do it first before we just pull the rug out from under everybody. Let's figure it out. That dipshit saying, oh, it's jobs day. First thing he did, that Onion Head signs a bill. When people are largely unemployed, and just cuts out all these jobs, and then pulls the rug out from under the rest of us that have to pay I don't know, hey, fellas out there in California, Josh, Ant, Tommy, Joe, what are you guys spending on a gallon of fuel? I can't even imagine. I think I'm over $4 on diesel right now. And you know what? I don't care if that's the price, and the guys are out. People are out working. Not losing their jobs. And I mean, the dipshit goes and pulls out our emergency reserves, which was enough to last us, I think, 2 days maybe. And then takes credit for the fuel prices dropping 2 cents a gallon, and they make up this fake grid, this fake graph where they've got it extended. I mean, if you look at the actual time periods on that graph where they're talking about, oh, prices at the pump are dropping 2 cents, don't mean much. I mean, you think about it, you go and it says $3.99.9, that's $4. I mean, so 2 cents, ooh, okay, down at $3.97 point, that's $3.99. $3.98, whatever the fuck. 2 cents doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean anything either when our money's not worth a damn thing, and that's what we're heading up to here. I don't know. It's disheartening, but it's not something that we can't turn around. And that's what I'm trying to get across to everybody. It's like this 0.2% of people that are calling the shots in this country. To hell with them. Fuck them. It's time for us to start calling the shots on our lives. The majority of the people in this country, and it's time for us to stop living in fear. And it's time to stop hating one another. It's time to reach across the fence and shake your neighbor's hand. It's time to go and help your neighbor. It's time to go and help somebody do something other than put hats on and then hate the person with the other hat. I mean, I mostly wear a Dodger hat, and boss, I hate your Cardinals hat. Just kidding. We always get on each other about that, but that's largely funny. But when you got like Juicy Smolye hiring 2 Nigerian brothers to beat his ass up, saying they're wearing MAGA hats, I don't know. I'm sorry, I haven't seen too many Nigerians wandering around and Make America Great Again hats, and I don't know where the hell they even get one of them in Chicago anyways. And then they go and buy that rope. Nigerian white supremacists, I guess. And then all these fucking assholes on the media are all fucking justice for Juicy or whatever. Dave Chappelle gets, these people are trying to cancel Dave Chappelle. Greatest fucking, he's one of the goats. I mean, he is up there. I mean, him, Richard Pryor, fucking George Carlin, I mean, and he's never said anything about anybody. There we go again. I mean, the dude just speaks the truth. And we've become so fucking stupid and idiotic, and we get so triggered over this stupid shit, I mean, comedy is supposed to be it's supposed to be irreverent. It's supposed to cross lines. It's supposed to be edgy and gritty. And it's supposed to maybe make you feel a little uncomfortable, but it's also it's out there so we can laugh at ourselves, I mean, that's the big thing. And we've gotten to a point right now where we can't do that anymore. And that's pretty fucking pathetic, because I know I'm a fucking walking comedy of errors. I mean, my life has been fucking hilarious, and it will probably continue to be so. Whatever. All of ours have been. I mean, shit. Look at us flopping and flailing around. I mean, it's obviously a comedy of errors. Look at what we have for leaders, and look what we're scared of. What is there to be scared of? This world's going to end too soon for all of us anyways. We're only here for like that. I mean, we're here and gone. Why be scared? Why fall in line? What do we got to lose? I mean, the way I look at it, it's time to buck. I mean, because your buck ain't going to be worth any bang. That's for sure. I don't know. On that note, let me know what you think. I hope everybody's doing well out there. Honestly do. Have a good Saturday night out there. If you can or can't go anywhere or whatever. I know I'm not going anywhere. The fucking wind's howling. It's like, shit, 1 degree outside or something. It's colder than hell. I don't even like getting in the truck right now. And people slow down out there, you idiots. Jesus Christ. I was out there last night. I got my big ass trailer on and I'm sliding on the wind's blowing and things sliding all over behind me. And I got you idiots right on my ass. Slow down, you morons. Out there in your fucking stupid ass SUVs and driving around like idiots. Slow the fuck down. It's icy as hell out there. It's a skating rink. You're going to get in an accident. You're going to hurt somebody or hurt yourself, hurt your kids. It ain't worth it. Swear to God. Just so you can gotta get to work on time. Oh my God, gotta get my coffee. Gotta go park in the parking lot over there at the mud stand and wait for my coffee. Like that's not a drug. Oh, we're stupid. Anyway, on that note, I love y'all. Be good to each other. Stay up. It's going to get better, but we got to make it better. We can't just sit back and just think that this is all just going to go away, because it's not without some action. And it's time. We've sat back too long. We've been complacent too long. We've been comfortable too long. So it's time to look out for one another and get through this thing. And understand that we don't need this leadership, because it's not leadership. It's bringing us all down. What we need is one another. Okay? So that's the message. Be good to each other. Help each other out. Look out for each other. And, yeah, hit me up anytime. All right. I guess over and out. Peace.
I wish I wasn't fat.
I wish I wasn't gay.
I wish I wasn't black.
I wish that I was brave.
I wish with every candle on the cake that I could quit doing these drugs, but I can't and I'm afraid.
I wish that I was smart.
I wish that I was rich.
I wish it wasn't hard for me to grow up and forgive.
I wish that I could help. I wish I wasn't sick.
I wish I was Tom McDonald. I'd be just like him.
I wish I wasn't sober. I miss it when the party wasn't over. Happiness was right around the corner. Every single night was like the best one of our lives. Now we're older. The good old days are out of reach. I wish that they were closer. I wish I wasn't anxious, and I wish I could fast forward. And I wish that I could rewind, but they don't make that controller. I wish the nights were longer, and I wish the days were shorter. And I wish that I could sleep enough to maintain my composure. I feel crazy. I wish that I was normal. I wish that I could kill myself, but also be immortal. Take me to the oracle. I heard that time is borrowed. Can you give me back my yesterdays? I'll give you my tomorrows. Forget all of my morals and just live like I cannot remember sorrow. Before all of the tattoos and the cornrows, I was different, I was happy, I was calmer, I was young and full of hormones. Now I'm wishing for a time machine, I'd step into that portal and be gone.
I wish on shooting stars, or were they satellites? Maybe they were too far. Hey, ooh la la, I must have blown apart a million dandelions. Now they don't grow in my yard. Hey, ooh la la.
I wish I didn't care about the day that I'd be buried. Used to live like I was ready for it, always in a hurry. Now I'm worried, all my memories are blurry. I'm just barely turning 30 and the voices in my head are trying to hurt me. The choices that I made make me feel dirty. I was 25 or 13, I was smoking with the seniors, drinking beer and getting flirty. Now the Ativan ain't working, I need something even stronger. Give me childhood, my mother and my father and my sister, and a Christmas to make up for all the recent ones I'm missing while I'm touring the country for a living. Give me a hug and a Nintendo and a toy box in the closet. Give me everything I wish I had. Oh wait, I think I got it. I'm a rapper like I always promised them I would accomplish. This is awesome, man. I wish I had a friend to tell. I'd call him, man. I wonder if I jump from here, if I'd survive the bottom. And would everyone believe me if I told them I had fallen? I'ma jump.